the account, is it run by one whistleblower?
Madam Congressman, no, it actually is comprised of over 1,000 state employees across multiple state agencies.
So this is not just a couple of people. This is a lot of people bringing this to light. And were the whistleblowers ever made to feel unsafe on their attempts to report fraud?
Yes, absolutely. I can give you 2 quotes that they have in the 7-page document that was submitted for this committee hearing. 2 things that they said is, think about your home and what if you lose your job? So these are things said to whistleblowers. Second thing was, we need information about where your kids go to school and where their bus stops are.
And Representative Rarick, that's just incredible stuff. And I know
For
you mentioned
decades,
it before.
Americans have been told that whistleblowers are protected by law, that if you see corruption and speak up, the system will back you up. But what happens when the system itself becomes the threat? During a Minnesota legislative hearing, a lawmaker read allegations into the official record claiming that senior state officials discussed tracking whistleblowers' locations, referencing their homes, their jobs, and even their children's school bus stops. These are not anonymous internet claims. These are statements now preserved in government testimony connected to a massive fraud scandal involving taxpayer dollars. Tonight, we're going to carefully examine what was alleged, how it got this far, and why this story raises serious concerns about power and accountability.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. And before I begin my remarks, I want to enter into the record an email shared by DHS whistleblowers. The email was written by a senior DHS official and sent to other DHS leaders. In the email, the DHS official talks about using military intelligence resources to track down whistleblowers' exact location. And this issue, and I believe this email was alluded to by Representative Rarick in her testimony.
Without objection to ordered.
Thank you so much. And I have one more, and I ask for unanimous consent to enter into the record an article titled, "Minnesota Government Whistleblowers Claim They Were Electronically Surveilled, Had Promotions Denied," in the New York Post, dated January 3rd, 2026.
Without objection to ordered.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And first, I would like to say thank you, Mr. Chair, for allowing us to wave on. This is an incredibly important issue in our state and across the country. It's something that comes up all the time when we're out in the district. And so I thank all of the legislators for being here and for all of your work that you do in order to expose this and dig into it and really figure out what's going on. And I think it was Mr. Burlinson who asked if we were embarrassed. But I'm not embarrassed to be from Minnesota. What I am is really sad that this is happening, and this is what Minnesota is known for now. This horrible fraud, because there's wonderful things that Minnesota does have to offer. And so as a lifelong Minnesotan, it makes me sad that this is what we're having to talk about. And while some may want to downplay this fraud, I want to be clear. This is an explicit and egregious cover-up on the theft of taxpayer dollars. And hundreds of millions stolen from programs intended to help feed children, provide housing, provide child care, even help individuals with autism. And we also have reports that some of this funding is going to terrorist organizations, like was mentioned earlier. Democrats have been in charge in Minnesota for years. And I was in the Minnesota legislature, I know. And they specifically wrote and passed legislation that reduced oversight when handing out federal funds. Democrats seized on COVID in particular to yank back fraud protections, just so that they could hand out money as fast as possible. That was the whole thing. That was the mantra during COVID, is we've got to get it out fast. So we can't have all these regulations and checks and balances on them. Unfortunately, though, this problem isn't new, and it wasn't just from COVID in Minnesota. Whistleblowers report that they've been making reports for years. The Democrat leadership at the state level in Minnesota has been actively suppressing whistleblowers, and I think some of the testimony that you've all given today is pointing that out. And that's not an opinion, it is fact. It's fact. So I'm going to ask, maybe we're going to go over some of this a little once again, but I want to make sure that everybody understands that there's a clear answer. Representative Rarick, the tweet, where did my sign go? I have a sign. Maybe we don't. But there's an account that is working, that is, I believe, from the whistleblowers. And I just wanted to note, there we go. Thank you. This behind me is the account, is it run by one whistleblower?
Madam Congressman, no, it actually is comprised of over 1,000 state employees across multiple state agencies.
So this is not just a couple of people. This is a lot of people bringing this to light. And were the whistleblowers ever made to feel unsafe on their attempts to report fraud?
Yes, absolutely. I can give you two quotes that they have in the 7-page document that was submitted for this committee hearing. Two things that they said is think about your home and what if you lose your job. So these are things said to whistleblowers. Second thing was we need information about where your kids go to school and where their bus stops are.
And Representative Rarick, that's just incredible stuff. And I know you mentioned it before, but I do think it's worth repeating because we had whistleblowers. This could have been happening, but there has been Democrat administration after Democrat administration, including Walz and the newer, they have not addressed these things. And they have not said, hey, whistleblowers, we believe you, and we're going to do something about it. And so that's the concern. And I just want to, I'm running low on time, but I wanted to just ask Representative Robbins, and I'm sorry, Mr. Hudson, but you've had some really good moments today, so I'll go to Representative Robbins. As chair of the committee, if these claims of retaliatory action are true, then it violates the law. So if these claims are true, then a state agency is violating our own state whistleblowers laws. Is that correct?
So the whistleblower statute is for civil penalties. There is no criminal penalty for whistleblower retaliation in statute currently, but we are looking at that for the next session. But that's why when people say, why haven't these people who've retaliated against the whistleblowers been prosecuted, it's because there is no criminal penalty in statute.
Has there been anything by the Attorney General's office, and this is maybe a question that I'll ask if he's comes, anything by the Attorney General's office that would deal with that?
No, we passed a law this session to expand whistleblower protection because prior to this session, they could only report up through their supervisor or to the state attorney general. And when they did, they were either ghosted or they were retaliated against. So we expanded it so now they can report to legislators and they can report to law enforcement. And that's how we got this just deluge of whistleblower reports because now they have somewhere safe to report.
And you have been very indulgent, and I'll just say, after 15 years of Democrat administration in Minnesota, this massive fraud is coming to an end because we are going to get to it, and I appreciate the work that you have done on your committee, and we will do whatever we can to continue to bring it to light and prosecute those folks involved. So thank you very much, and Mr. Chair, I thank you very much for your indulgence.
Thank you, Ms.
Chair asks unanimous consent.
Who said that?
During a Minnesota committee hearing, a state lawmaker formally entered an email into the record that was allegedly written by a senior Department of Human Services official. According to the testimony, the email discussed the potential use of military intelligence resources to locate whistleblowers. That allegation alone should immediately raise red flags for anyone who believes in limited government and civil liberties. The lawmaker also submitted a published article detailing claims from whistleblowers who say they were electronically surveilled, denied promotions, and retaliated against after reporting fraud. The testimony made clear this was not an isolated incident or a misunderstanding inside one agency. According to statements made on the record, the fraud involved hundreds of millions of dollars taken from programs intended to feed children, provide housing, support childcare, and help individuals with autism. Even more alarming, it was alleged that some of this money may have been funneled to terrorist-linked organizations, an accusation that demands serious investigation. The lawmaker placed responsibility squarely on long-term Democratic control of Minnesota's state government. Oversight was reportedly reduced for years, and during COVID, fraud safeguards were intentionally loosened in the name of speed. The priority was pushing money out quickly, even if that meant removing basic checks and balances. Whistleblowers say they try to raise alarms for years, only to be ignored, sidelined, or actively suppressed. Testimony revealed that the whistleblower group now coming forward consists of more than 1,000 state employees across multiple agencies. This was not one disgruntled worker. This was a widespread internal warning system that leadership allegedly refused to hear. Some of the most disturbing claims involved intimidation. According to quotes read into the record, whistleblowers were allegedly told to think about their homes and their jobs. Others were warned that officials knew where their children went to school and where their bus stops were located. If true, that crosses far beyond bureaucratic retaliation and into outright intimidation. Lawmakers also acknowledged a critical legal gap. Under current Minnesota law, retaliation against whistleblowers carries civil penalties, not criminal consequences. That means even proven retaliation may not result in jail time. Officials stated that whistleblower protections were recently expanded, allowing reports directly to legislators and law enforcement, which is why so many allegations are now emerging at once. After years of one-party control, lawmakers claim this fraud is finally being exposed. Whether real accountability follows will determine if whistleblower protections mean anything at all. Because when government employees are more afraid of speaking out than they are of corruption, the system has already failed.